On Monday, people in Boston are invited to honor Martin Luther King in a day of conversation and service at Franklin Park. The event's organized by the Franklin Park Coalition. To tell us what's planned is an AmeriCorps volunteer with the coalition working as a volunteer outreach coordinator. We'd like to welcome Asia Garcia. Thank you very much for being with us, Asia.
Thank you for having me.
First of all, talk about what is going to be planned for Monday at the park.
So on Monday we've invited over 80 volunteers. And to start, we'll have a conversation about issues surrounding race in light of what's been happening recently with the Black Lives Matter movement. And we hope to start up a conversation about even the protests this morning and really celebrate Dr. King's legacy and commitment to service.
Because there's also going to be some service for the park itself. So what's that going to involve?
Yeah, so we will head to the woodlands. It's called the Wilderness, and we will clear out invasive plants, and we will pick up trash, and hope that it will be a very community building exercise for volunteers that are coming from all over Boston.
Now, this is a pretty common thing now with many parks. But I remember some things about the history of Franklin Park. There were some really bad old days. Not only was this park neglected, but it was really looked down upon. And I guess the coalition has been paying attention to that for quite a while.
Yeah, our mission is really to change that negative perception of Franklin Park that still, I think, sort of exists today, especially people who are not part of the surrounding communities of the park. And so, yeah, our hope is to bring, all of these people together. And, the park is a urban space, and I consider a lifeline. I consider all urban parks lifelines to our cities. And so it's important for us to bring these people together and really change that perception, whether it be through cultural festivals or just really simple. And our favorite thing to do is bring volunteers in and do these kinds of service projects.
Well, what's that like when you bring in a volunteer, especially if they haven't seen much of Franklin Park before?
They're so surprised. They can't imagine that something like this exists in Boston, and they think it's beautiful, and it is. And even people who are from the neighborhoods who haven't necessarily been inside of the woodlands, they don't even feel like they're in Boston anymore, which is really nice.
Because the other thing here is about how conversation about race works together with this. Just put me in that situation. You have this conversation for a while in the morning, and then you're out with people. You're clearing the trash and you're sprucing things up. How do those two things work together? So
what we really want to highlight is, or get into conversation about, really the culture of Boston. As I've learned, it's a city that's very segregated, and it was put on a list of one of the most segregated cities. I can't remember where I found that, but and so we want to, in speaking of race and these issues surrounding race and the importance of civic engagement, is really to help build communities and and in doing with service, we want to be able to just foster that sense of civic engagement that can help break those barriers. And
I guess one of the barriers is because a lot of the people who had negative images about Franklin Park, I guess what they're supposedly surprised by is that, oh, there are people in the neighborhoods here, they care about the park. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
What about some of the other events coming up? I know it's winter time. You say, who would want to be out in the park in the winter? But you always have something coming up in the winter.
Yeah, so at the end of this month, hopefully if we have snow, we'll have a snow festival on the 31st. And we will have one again the 7th of February.
Right.
If weather permits, of course.
Right. And I should mention, as far as the events on Monday, this is going to start in the morning. About what time is that going to be?
The event will start at 10 a.m. and people of all ages are welcome.
And they should go to what, the clubhouse at the golf course?
Yep, it's the address is 1 Circuit Drive.
Great. Well, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
From the Franklin Park Coalition, Asia Garcia. For information about other service events on the holiday, you should go to the website for Boston Cares. That's bostoncares.org. In a moment, we'll have the art segment with Chris Harding.